فماذا قال؟ إني أخاف الله، إني أخاف الله. ها هو يوسف في رعاية شبابه، له الحيوية، له القوة، له الجمال الباهر، حتى قال فيه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: لقد أوتي شطر الجمال. تريدون أن تعرفوا هذا الجمال؟ اسمع ما قال ربي جل وعلا في سورة يوسف: قالت اخرج عليهم فلما رأينه أكبرنه وقطعن أيديهن وقلن حاش لله ما هذا بشرا إن هذا إلا ملك كريم. والله ما هذا بشرا، لقد أعطوا فاكهة وقطعوا أيديهم لما رأوا هذا الجمال الباهر. فها هو يوسف يتعرض لأشد محنة. امرأة العزيز وهي تملك أمره وهو في غربة وهو مستضعف، فتريد أن تجره إلى الفاحشة وتغلق الأبواب وتتزين له بكل ما تملك، ولكن يبقى باب السماء مفتوحا. فيتذكر يوسف عليه السلام من خلال هذا الباب أن عليه رقيب، ما يلفظ من قول إلا لديه رقيب وعتيد. والله جل وعلا يقول: ولقد خلقنا الإنسان وتعلم ونعلم ما توسوس به نفسه ونحن أقرب إليه من حبل الوريد. ماذا قال؟ بمن نادى؟ نادى برب السماء والأرض، قال: معاذ الله إنه ربي أحسن مثواي إنه لا يفلح الظالمون. قال: معاذ الله إنه ربي. لا بحمى الله سبحانه وتعالى. وربنا جل وعلا قال: وكذلك لنصرف عنه السوء والفحشاء إنه من عبادنا المخلص. وشتان بين المخلصين والمخلصين، شتان بين المخلصين والمخلصين. المخلص هو أشد القرب إلى الله سبحانه وتعالى من العبودية. إنه من عبادنا المخلصين. لم يقف الحد عند امرأة العزيز، بل اجتمعت عليه النسوة وأردنا أن تجرون إلى الفاحشة. أردنا هذه النسوة أن تجر يوسف إلى الفاحشة. بالله عليكم، لو أحد منا تعرض لهذه المحنة هل سيقول إني أخاف الله؟ اسمع ما قال الحبيب المصطفى صلوات ربي وسلامه عليه في حديث رواه أبي سعيد الخدري، والحديث عند مسلم. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: إن الدنيا حلوة خاضرة وإن الله مستخلفكم فيها فينظر كيف تعملون، فاتقوا الدنيا واتقوا النساء، إن أول فتنة ابتلي بها بني إسرائيل كانت في النساء. أمام هذه المحنة يوسف عليه السلام مرة أخرى يلجأ إلى من؟ إلى الواحد القهار، إلى من بيده ملكوت مقاماته قال رب السجن أحب إلي مما يدعونني إليه. قال رب السجن أحب إلي مما يدعونني إليه وإلا تصرف عني كيدهن أصب إليهن وأكن من الجاهلين. ماذا كانت النتيجة؟ جاءت الفاء السببية. الفاء السببية فاستجاب له ربه. فاستجاب له ربه. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, I bear witness that there is no God except Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. To Him we belong and to Him we surely return. Whom Allah guide is rightly guided, and whom Allah deviate, you will not find anybody to lead them toward the right path. And may Allah shower His mercy upon His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and upon his wives and upon those who follow his footsteps. O who you believe, fear Allah the way He should be feared, and do not die except in the state of Islam. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, whenever hardship, calamities befall upon Muslims, when Muslims are being exploited and being marginalized by oppressors and tyrants, when harm is being inflicted upon Muslims, then it becomes imperative upon them to recognize and to comprehend the Sunnah, the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and their inspiration and their desire grow deeper and deeper to know about the biography of the God of men, or men of God, and those who are righteous, and especially the Prophet. And today, I would like to share with you one of the greatest Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who illustrates the greatest quality of integrity, of truthfulness, of patience and perseverance, of the conscience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إنه نبي يوسف. It is Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, the distance is so vast between Yusuf alayhi salam being cast into the well, being imprisoned and incarcerated, and between Yusuf alayhi salam having a governmental position. Between Yusuf alayhi salam sold to be a slave, to be in servitude, and between Yusuf alayhi salam being the provider, the treasurer of all the provision of Masr, of Egypt. My dear brothers, this distance and this unbelievable distinction would not happen to Yusuf if he was not in sincere determination to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with such an obedience, with such trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in reliance. My dear brothers, if we were to combine the entire story of Yusuf alayhi salam, I can say that the highest objective and the greatest aim to be derived from this entire surah and entire qissa is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said: whoever show his consciousness of Allah and remain resilient, patient, perseverant, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect him, and Allah will not waste the deeds of those who excel. This is the most important ayah in the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. There are many stories that we can derive from Yusuf alayhi salam. However, I will constrict it to 3 important lessons. First is justice between our children. And this, I would like to offer as an admonition to every parent to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to be just when it comes to His love and affection to His children. The brothers of Yusuf, their jealousy have taken them to a point where they wanted to kill their own brother. They wanted to kill their own brother. So my dear brothers, any parent who does not disclose his affection or who does not conceal his affection and basically make it prominent in front of his children, what he's causing, he's creating an environment of hostility, hate, and spite. And this is very dangerous in any human society. So Yusuf alayhi salam was a victim that Yaqub alayhi salam internalized his affection and his love and his compassion to his son. But it was shown to the rest of the brothers. It was shown. And they said, we will kill Yusuf alayhi salam. The first crime that happened in the earth is between 2 brothers, Qabil wa Habil. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala indeed accepted the sadaqah from one and He did not accept from the other. He could not live with that jealousy. It took him to a point where he killed his own brother. So we need to be extremely careful when it comes to our children and to be just, to be fair to them, all of them, to love them equally. Even though sometimes you cannot control yourself. When it comes to your love to one over another one, do not show it in front of the others. The second lesson, my dear brothers, and this is another admonition that I would like to offer to our youth. My dear brothers, the consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one of the greatest means that swerve the Muslim away from committing vice. It's the greatest means. When you fully aware that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching you, when you have the conscience that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching over your deeds, how would you react? When you are confronted with one of the greatest tests and tribulation, what we call seduction of women. Yusuf alayhi salam, at a very young age, very handsome, to the extent the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in hadith was narrated by Muslim, that he said he was given half of the beauty. And if you want to know exactly this beauty, go back to the Quran. When Imran al-Aziz invited the women and she gave them apples and gave them a knife, she knew what she had. She knew what she had. When she gave them the knife, and she asked for Yusuf to come out. When they saw him, what happened? They cut their own hand instead of cutting the apples. Just to tell you the intensity of the beauty that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given Yusuf. Now imagine one of us is being placed in this situation. In a situation where you are seduced by one of the most beautiful women with the highest position, and you cannot control yourself. would you say, I fear Allah at that moment? My dear brothers, if you rely solely on your own determination, without turning back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by Allah you will fail. By Allah you will fail. And you will fall prey to the fahisha, to the vice. And that's what Yusuf alayhi salam did. When he was in that position, seduced by that woman, he turned to Allah. And that's a beautiful hadith. The Prophet ﷺ told us that among the seven who will be shaded in the day of judgment, when there is no shade except the shade of Allah, is a man who was this seduced by a beautiful woman and with the highest position. At that moment he said, I fear Allah. I fear Allah. And that is the position of every Muslim who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Visualize yourself committing a sin. And this deception and this lust and desire lasts only for a few minutes. What are you going to say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? When you stand before Him, that's why the Prophet ﷺ told us, لا يزني الزاني وهو مؤمن. لا يزني الزاني وهو مؤمن. It is absolutely no way for a believer to commit a zina when he is in a state of faith. Absolutely not.